Each of us at any point in life felt exhausted from the fast rhythm of life, social pressure, and difficulties we had to deal with. And of course, every person at least once in life had a desire to escape from all that pressure, take some rest and recharge. But what if, once you escape, there is no way back? Hi guys, my name is Anastasia and welcome to my channel. I know that usually I share with you some wellness tips here and we discuss recent trends and researches, I post workouts and books to read, but today we have an unusual podcast. Because today I want to share with you two stories that are huge wellness scams. Not like scams exactly, but I could say that it's two areas in wellness industry where you really have to be careful. Of course, I want to say right away that not always. I believe that there are good people with good intentions who really want to help others, but unfortunately, you can never know for sure what kind of person is in front of you. The purpose of today's podcast is not to scare you. I want you to understand that no way, but rather to remind you how important it is to recheck all the information out there on the internet and just, be careful, no matter how much you want to trust others. But before we start, as always, I just want to remind you to like this video and follow me here on YouTube to help my channel to grow and not to miss any videos of mine in the future, and of course, get comfortable and let's already begin. Belle Gibson was born in Australia in 1991. Honestly, we don't know much about her childhood, but according to her interview, she had never known her father, she was always on the move with her mom and brother, and in general the childhood wasn't that pleasant and was pretty tough. As her mother said later in the interview, Belle was never happy as a child and actually she was embarrassed by them. But what we know for sure is that Belle loved creating stories as a child. For example, she was telling everyone that her brother was autistic when in fact he wasn't.
I don't have autism at all, no. Even when I was a kid, she used to call me retard.
What did that make you think about yourself growing up?
I hated myself and I didn't want to be around. I was shy, placid, and I didn't like to be out in the public just because things she said.
Or for example, once she said to her boyfriend that she had cancer, so he wouldn't break up with her. One of her fellow classmates described Belle Gibson as a strange character and said that she was always telling some unrealistic stories about her home life, so eventually people just stopped listening to her. Besides that, we know when she was 16, for some unknown reason, she dropped out of high school and moved in with some guy, I don't know, either her classmate or her friend, doesn't really matter in our story. But the point is, what do you think the kid who is a great storyteller and has plenty of free time can actually do? Of course, blogging. Belle Gibson was spending lots of her time on the internet, and her first post she wrote in 2009, in which she claimed she just had an operation and that it wasn't really successful. Of course, I need you to understand that social media were something new at the time, and people were not as aware as now about lies and scams. And honestly, who knows what intentions Belle had by writing that post, but she definitely got lots of sympathy on the internet. And honestly, I think she just loved that kind of attention, and exactly for that reason she decided to continue lying, creating more and more illnesses. It reached the point when she claimed she had stage 4 terminal brain cancer and had 4 months to live. And I think you can imagine how much support she got after writing that post, because it was really scary condition, and people were trying to cheer her up, to be there for her at least online. And because of that serious condition, she decided to move to Melbourne to be closer to her doctor to continue her traditional treatment. But after a while, she said that traditional medicine failed her, she did not notice any results, and she decided to quit traditional medicine and instead to go with healthy foods and natural therapies. As she wrote in her book, I was empowering myself to save my own life through nutrition, patience, determination, and love. At the same time, while having this awful condition, Belle found out that she was pregnant. And I need you to understand that she expanded her audience all over the world, reaching thousands of people. And of course, she needed to gather them all somewhere, to talk to them, to tell them the news, updates, whatever. So she decided to create a blog called Belle Healing, where she was sharing her journey and healing tips. But what was really concerning at that point was not even the fact that she decided to create a blog where she was completely misleading people and giving them false hopes, but rather the fact that she decided to prey on people's insecurities, on their empathy, and to make money on it, because she decided to create an app called The Whole Pantry, where she was sharing all these healthy recipes that's supposed to heal you.
It's essentially a recipe collection full of whole foods and vegetarian recipes, which is the way that we encourage people to get back to the fundamentals of eating more fruits and vegetables.
I mean, there is nothing wrong in creating a blog where you're sharing your journey, or the app with healthy recipes and wellness tips. But when you suggest that those recipes would heal you, would cure you, I think it's just simply irresponsible and, to be honest, kind of evil. Of course, she was not saying it openly that those recipes would heal you, but she was saying that those recipes healed her, so no need to be very smart to understand the hidden message there. But again, no one knew at the time that all of that was just a huge lie, and because of that, the app turned out an immediate success, to the point that Apple wanted to make a partnership with Belle and to have her application as an automatic download on an Apple Watch. I think you can imagine how huge it was. Besides the Apple collaboration, Belle reached out to a publishing house and signed a book deal for The Whole Pantry cookbook. And while Belle Gibson was living her best life, like she just bought a new house, she was in a beautiful relationship, she just got a child, she bought a new car, she was having all this success and business deals, she claimed she had cancer again. And her claiming she had cancer again was the moment when everyone around her started to get really suspicious, like her friends and business team, because Belle did not have any medical papers to prove her illnesses. She did not have any scars after operations she told about before. Also, she was living a completely different lifestyle from the one she was showing on social media. Like, for example, on social media, she was showing herself as this wellness guru, but in real life, she was drinking beer and eating lots of fast food. And also, there was a moment where she pretended to go to the hospital for a cancer appointment, but in reality, she was at the dentist. So, I mean, you can see why people started to get really suspicious, because it looked crazy. Moreover, because of the Belle's success and recognition, some journalists decided to write an article about her, but they needed more facts, so they started poking around, and as one of them said later, and I will quote, "I cannot think of another story I've covered that's been so difficult to get people to speak to me." And that was the moment when her wellness empire started to fall apart. The thing that I did not mention before was that Belle was always telling to her followers that she was sending the percentage of her profits to different charities, when in fact she wasn't. And journalists contacted those charities and found out that those charities never even heard about Belle and her company. Of course, journalists were shocked and confused, and they actually gave Belle a chance to explain herself. But once again, Belle Gibson did not provide any papers or any facts, and journalists had nothing left but to publish an article about missing charity money. And at first, people wouldn't believe that it was true, and actually they tried to protect her even, because Belle Gibson was an inspiration, she was an ultimate goal to so many people. And eventually, by the evening, people really got pissed, because not only she damaged their trust, but also because they realized how Belle was scamming them all that time for so many years. Obviously, Belle tried to explain herself somehow to people, but to be honest, it was pointless, because everyone already knew everything, Later, Belle just deleted her social media, all the partnerships got cancelled, and actually lots of people wanted her to go to jail for fraud, but all she got as punishment was just a huge fine, and according to some sources, she still did not pay it off.
A Melbourne woman who faked having cancer to make money has been spending money online betting and clothes. That's despite owing hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines. Belle Gibson took the stand for the first time as the court tried to determine why she hasn't paid anything back.
Of course, I want you to understand that there is much more to the story. There are so many details that perfectly show how crazy the story is, and honestly, I highly recommend you to watch it fully. For example, I used as the main reference the video of Kendall Ray. She has lots of true crime and she did such a great job. I really loved it. I will leave you the link in the description so you can watch it yourself. But I just want to repeat what I said in the beginning. It's super important to recheck the information on the internet before you trust your health and your money to other people, especially when you hear that someone claims they can cure you when traditional medicine cannot. 99% it's a scam, guys. I mean, this scam is not something new, we all know about it, but for some unknown reason there are still people who trust. Fortunately, in our case, no one got hurt, but in some situations it can really end up badly, so please remember to stay smart. And we are moving to the next story because the next one is really sad. Our next story is pretty new. It happened in June in 2024, and to be honest, we don't really have that much information, but I gathered what I found, so let's work with what we have for now. Taylor Casey was born in Illinois, Chicago, in 1982, and according to her family, she was a very gentle and loving person. She loved taking nature walks, she loved flowers and gardens, and especially she loved spending time on the beach because it was her place of peace. Her mom recalled the time when Casey called her and told her to look outside her door, and when her mom did, she saw a little flower that Casey planted on the side of her side door. Taylor Casey was such a versatile person and had tons of passions. She was an artist, a hairstylist, an Air Force veteran, a community worker, and a woman of faith. Taylor was a spiritual and kind person. She loved people, she loved helping people, she cared about people. And I guess for that reason she worked at Chicago Freedom School as a program manager, developing youth programs. Moreover, she did some work with Howard Brown Health and HIV testing and prevention. Her friends and family said that Casey was the person everyone noticed when she entered the room. They also said that Taylor Casey was the person who never gave up. And one of the things that was helping her to be stronger both physically and spiritually was yoga. She was practicing yoga for over 15 years, and becoming a yoga instructor was one of her main goals, because Casey always wanted to share the healing and wellness aspects of yoga with the community in Chicago. And because Taylor Casey also loved traveling, she decided to go to a ashram yoga retreat in the Bahamas to get her certification. And Taylor was really looking forward to it because the place really looked like a tropical paradise. There you could find beautiful spacious white beaches, crystal blue waters, huge tropical gardens, and most importantly, a spiritual community that practices yoga and meditation. It had everything Casey was looking for. Yoga teaching training was 1 month long and costed $4,000, and there were different accommodations to rent there, from hunts to rooms, but Casey chose a tent, and I guess it was to be closer to nature or something. Everyone was happy for Casey, and they couldn't wait for her to come back to share her experience. But most importantly, Casey was so excited about this trip because teaching yoga was her dream. And in the beginning of June, Taylor Casey went to a ashram yoga retreat in the Bahamas. As far as we know, she was attending yoga classes, everyone saw her there, people were communicating with her, she was regularly calling her mom, and in one of her last phone calls on June 18th, Taylor Casey was talking to her mom about yoga and stuff. They've been joking, they were saying they love each other.
She said, "I love you, Ma." And I said, "I love you too, Taylor." And we were talking about yoga. And I sent Taylor a picture of, because we were on vacation, I sent Taylor a picture of us doing yoga. We were getting ready to actually go to a yoga class. So I sent Taylor a picture of all the mats and stuff and said, "Look, Taylor, we're doing yoga too."
But Taylor mentioned that it was hard for her there at the yoga retreat. She did not go into details, as her mom suggested she didn't want to alarm her, like to make her worried for nothing, you know. But her mom said that she really felt like something was off. We also know that in the evening on June 18th, the neighbor of Taylor at the retreat, he had a tent next to her. He heard Casey unzipping the tent and moving some stuff around. The next day on June 19th, Taylor's mom got a phone call from a girl called Hannah, who was attending the same yoga retreat with Taylor. And Hannah asked the mother if she had heard from her daughter, because turned out that Taylor Casey missed a few yoga classes and actually no one had seen her. And God, just imagine what her mom felt at that moment. It's the worst nightmare, you know. According to her interview, her heart started to beat faster. She got really upset and started to pray a lot. And then she answered Hannah that it was not like Taylor to miss a yoga class. Colette, Taylor's mom, told to Emily, Taylor's best friend, about her missing in the Bahamas, and of course they've been both shocked and confused and frustrated, you know, so they decided together to go to the Bahamas to see what was going on and to collect her belongings. During this time, there was a search conducted by the police in the area between yoga retreat and the Atlantis resort, because it was kind of close to the retreat. But for you to understand, the area they searched was only 3.8 kilometers. I mean, that's really little, that's not enough. Plus, the Atlantis security checked the cameras, but nothing was caught on it. They checked cameras also at yoga retreat, but to be honest, there was no that much security or something, no cameras, whatever, you know, in the first place. And also, police said that they used divers and underwater drones to check the ocean area, but again, nothing was found. The only lead they had at the time was Taylor's phone, because dogs took a scent from the tent and brought the police to the beach, and they found Taylor's phone in the water. But of course, I want you to understand that the phone was not working anymore because it was for a few days in water, you know, and the police of Bahamas asked, I don't know whom, US government or whoever, for permission to access it. And you can think, okay, at least there is one lead, you know, at least something, they will access it, they will find her location or whatever, maybe there are some messages whatsoever, but no. Because the police found the phone, they suggested that Casey drowned, because the waters in Bahamas, known for being quite unpredictable and dangerous. And I believe that this suggestion had a bad influence on further investigation, because when Casey's mom and friend arrived in the Bahamas, they noticed that police did not take the case seriously. For instance, Casey's tent and her stuff inside were not properly processed. Also, the police advised them not to speak to any guests at the retreat, not to disturb their tourism experience.
You know, we heard repeatedly that things could not happen because they didn't want to disturb the tourists who are there. They didn't want to disturb the guests who were vacationing on the island. That was true when we went to the ashram, and, you know, they gave us a tour so we could see the place. And when we were there, just trying to understand where Taylor's tent was, where the beach was, where her phone was found, they said we were almost scolded when we were trying to take pictures of the premises, you know, just time and time again from the authorities to make sure that we respect the guests' privacy. And the same is true, you know, when we think that, you know, we were not told that the entire premises of the ashram was searched. We were not told that the entire premises of the Atlantis Hotel was searched. And the reason that we were giving was that they wanted to respect the privacy of the guests because they were on vacation.
Besides, family did not find any missing person poster in the area. And moreover, she wasn't even in the report of missing people at the police department. There were lots of pictures of missing people at the department, but Casey was not one of them. For you to understand, the only post about Casey missing was made by Ashran on Facebook. Besides everything above, the Bahamas National Security Minister told reporters the FBI was involved in the search, when in fact they weren't. It was just a huge lie.
Lies. That's what they've been doing all along, you know, like keeping information from us, not telling the truth. And yeah, I feel like they're just continuing to do what they do best, lie.
Casey's mom Colette and her friend Emily were just shocked and confused and furious, you know, because no one was trying to do anything. And besides that, they felt super unwelcomed and they felt like the police were trying to kick them out or something. So they decided to leave as early as possible because honestly, it was just pointless to stay there. The only thing they managed to do in the Bahamas was to speak to a couple of people at the retreat. And actually, they found out pretty interesting things. For example, the manager said that he saw an unidentified man with a walkie-talkie and all dressed in black next to Taylor's tent. And when that man realized that the manager saw him, he left in the direction of the Atlantis resort. Also, the participant of the retreat told family that the day Casey went missing, she saw Taylor sitting alone on the beach and that some unknown man tried to approach her, saying that he was from Chicago as well, saying that he wanted to attend a yoga class, and actually he followed Casey onto the property. The family also tried to get Casey's phone back, but the police didn't let them, saying that it could have important information. So basically this is it for now. I mean, as I said, it's been already 6 months and there are no updates still, not about Casey, not about the phone, which is really weird. I mean, Casey's family thinks that the police doesn't want to investigate this case properly because of the discrimination, because Taylor Casey was a black trans woman. And honestly, it might be true. Why? Because I watched a lot of true crime and it happens pretty often, you know?
When I was down there, and especially about Taylor being trans, it just feels like to me that they really weren't accepting of that. And some of the students was talking about how Taylor would isolate and stuff, and Taylor's not like that. Taylor is sociable, loves to be around people, so why are you isolating? I just really feel like whatever was going on down there made Taylor not want to be around those people.
But I also think that it might be just a simple human factor, like irresponsibility, you know, because the proper search was not conducted. They did not process her stuff. And especially I think when they found her phone, as they said, they probably just suggested that she drowned. And to be honest, finding the body in the ocean is kind of impossible, you know. So I just think they decided not to put any effort because it's like kind of pointless, like for them, of course. But again, like you don't know for sure what happened, so how you can suggest something? You don't have any proofs, you don't have any leads, no evidence, nothing. So it just makes me so mad, I'm telling you. I mean, yes, it could be an accident, everything can happen, no one is protected 24/7, you know, but because once again, as I said, the waters in the Bahamas are considered dangerous, but some of the things just don't add up, you know. So I want to talk about it so you can see the whole picture yourself. And of course, the first and the biggest red flag is that unknown man who was next to Casey's tent first and then who was trying to approach her alone, you know. I mean, it's super weird and suspicious. Just for you to know, the island where the retreat is located, I've read that it's known for not being the safest place in the Bahamas and that crime happens there very often. So I opened the light because I couldn't see anything anymore. It's getting dark, you know, and the picture maybe is not so beautiful, but it doesn't really matter right now. So let's continue, what we were discussing. So the second thing that is really kind of weird is that they found the phone in the water. I mean, what normal person will go swim with the phone in the ocean? Usually you leave it on the beach, right? Not in the water. It doesn't bother anyone, really. Like, it doesn't make any sense, you know? And what is even more suspicious is that the family, when they collected her stuff, they found out that the passport of Casey was missing. I mean, who is taking the passport to the beach when you want to swim, you know? I mean, it's ridiculous. You understand how ridiculous the situation is? When I'm traveling and I know that it's not safe in the hotel, probably, I'm taking my passport as well with me. But I'm not going swimming with it. You know, this is just ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense, as I said. Again, like if she would decide to swim, if she really drowned, she would leave her passport probably on the beach or something, but no one found it. This is the thing. I also thought like maybe she could give her passport to the manager, which is again very weird, but who knows, maybe like all the participants are given their passports so no one escapes and pays their money, whatever, you know. But I mean, the manager would probably give this passport back when her family came to collect her belongings, you know, but nothing happened. No one said anything, so probably it's not there. Because they checked the tent. All Casey's yoga stuff and Bible and her notebooks and clothes, whatever, everything was there, but passport. To be honest, at first, I didn't want to include this story in today's podcast because, again, as I said, the story is pretty new and there is very less information right now. And No one is doing anything to find more. And it might look like an accident if you don't dig into details that I already explained you before. But I found something really strange. So on January 25 in 2013, Wesley Bell went on the same ashram yoga retreat as Taylor Casey. I just realized that I was saying ashram all the time. I am already confused how to pronounce it properly. Anyway, doesn't matter. And the woman who was there with Wesley on the retreat at the time, she described him as always happy and having great energy. And I mean, she said that one day he just went snorkeling and never returned, like disappeared, and the police found his clothes on the beach, and of course they suggested that he drowned. And I mean, it looks like that because he went snorkeling, so anything could happen underwater, but it reminds something. And yes, I understand that there is a huge time difference between these two cases, and they're very similar, and they may be both accidents, but I mean, it just looks so weird, it's just so creepy, to be honest. If it happened already once, then put some cameras there on the beach. If you know that waters are dangerous and people are just disappearing, put some security, I don't know, so it doesn't happen again. But here we are, it happened. I don't know, if you have any thoughts about this case, about both cases, you can write it in comments. I would love to read your suggestions about what the hell is going on here. But why I'm telling you the story today, it's because it's not the only case that happened when it comes to retreats, I mean, there are so many of them, and to be honest, it scares me. Because the idea of the retreat itself is truly wonderful, but people who go there, they expect some safety, they expect peace of mind, to reconnect with themselves whatsoever, but not to disappear, guys, come on. And the scariest part of all of it is that no one is saying or doing anything. Again, it's been 6 months and they cannot even unlock the phone. Like, what the hell is this? I mean, the family cannot get any closure. They live in hopes, they live in fear, they live in worries, and it just pisses me off. I feel so sorry for them that they have to deal with this kind of people, with this situation. The situation itself was already pretty devastating, but the attitude of the government is even more frustrating.
We need Taylor home. We love Taylor. Taylor is a part of our family. Our hearts are aching. We're having restless nights, sleepless nights, just thinking about Taylor not being here, wondering. And the wondering is actually killing me, causing a lot of stress, just a lot of stress. Is my child hurt, in danger? What is happening? We need closure.
And also, what I want to add here to the story, that guys, if you're going somewhere in a known place, especially alone, always tell someone where you're going, and better send an active location, send pictures where you are, videos, messages, anything. Let people know where you are, And secondly, if you feel that something is off, if you feel that something is really bothering you, please don't hesitate to tell it to someone, to your family, to your friends, to your partner, to your parents, I don't know, whoever. Just talk, don't be silent, because you may think that it's nothing, but it really can be an important thing. Just keep yourself safe as much as possible. Well, guys, what can I say? To be honest, today's podcast was a bit difficult for me, especially the second story. I mean, it made me feel frustrated. If you loved listening to crimes in wellness industry, please let me know in comments, because I'm making this kind of podcast for the first time and I need to know you like it or not. And of course, I want to remind you to like this video and follow me here on YouTube, not to miss the future videos of mine. And of course, to help my channel to grow, And I guess I just want to wish you today to stay smart and to stay safe, and just have a beautiful day today. Despite everything that you heard, despite everything that you see, and despite the people that exist on this planet, you still have a beautiful day for yourself, first of all. And I will see you in the next podcast.